Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 23 Driver Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we come to the penultimate race of Season 3, Abu Dhabi, leading into, of course, the Brazil finale where we continue at Aston Martin to work on adapting some parts. We have a heck of a championship battle. Verstappen 7 points ahead of Russell going into Abu Dhabi, who's going to come out on top of this Grand Prix setting up the final stage. We as well had a big meeting with Christian Horner this weekend. Let's take a listen.
All right, Gary, I'm going to cut straight to the chase. You're a damn good driver, and I want you alongside Max next year. If you stay with Aston Martin, your potential will go to waste. I'm offering you a 2-year deal with Red Bull Ford. What do you say?
I'm here to win races, and I don't like the way Aston Martin's going next year from the looks of it, and I think you guys is really the only logical decision.
Okay, let's sign this contract then and welcome you to the team.
Some huge news in the paddock this weekend. Red Bull have officially signed Gary Owen to the team. Both parties were together in his junior career, and now they reunite to put him alongside Verstappen next year.
And there we finally have the news. We are off to Red Bull Ford next season. Keep in mind they are switching to Ford. New V8 engines. It's going to be a big season for Formula 1 and a big season for us to hopefully bring us back into the fight for race victories. Of course, 3 wins last season when Aston Martin was a competitive team. This season we've had a couple podiums, few second place results, but that's it. The team has, of course, fallen off quite a bit compared to last season. But we focus in on these final 2 Grand Prix at hand. We still have to finish out this season as well. Rumored to be going into my position, Oscar Piastri right now is being speculated as my replacement. He of course struggled at McLaren but has really excelled this season with Williams, kind of giving him an opportunity to get that second chance. The last question of course is, where is Connor Sport Aiden Jackson going to go? Is he going to go to McLaren or not? We're going to find out. But qualifying underway, Abu Dhabi. So the way I have the car set up here, it's a little bit interesting. Basically, I have a car set up for the more downforce heavy sections here, so I really struggle on the straightaways, which means we're probably going to qualify quite a bit worse than where I think we are going to race here in Abu Dhabi. But nonetheless, coming through to cross the line in Q1, we go P10, and it would stick. It was P9, P10 for Sonoda and myself, so I was pretty happy with that right there. You'll see the drivers out there, Butler, Jackson, Porcher, Lawson, as well as Logan Sargent. Now, as well, important to note, this is my first F1 23 career mode video, aside from Formula 2, doing a recording on my brand new wheel. So I got the Moza Formula 1 style wheel now, which is a lot of fun. You can actually use my affiliate link down below in the description if you want to order from there. But as well, yeah, my first time recording on it, and I was actually up to speed quite a bit quicker than I thought I would be. I got the R12 base with it as well, and then I still stuck with Thrustmaster pedals. But my first lap in Q2, we go P10 again, but we would drop to P11 as Gasly would go a little bit quicker here. So we need to find a little bit more pace, but unfortunately right there, I make a mistake and that ruined the whole lap. I couldn't make it up after that. So that would put us out, unfortunately, in Q2. But I was expecting to have a bit of a rough qualifying, so I'm not too concerned because we are going to have a lot of race pace. The penultimate Grand Prix is about to get underway. Let's head to the grid.
It's time then for one final race in this year's Formula 1 World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting in the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both turn 5 and turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Norris, Albon, Tsunoda, Gasly, Golden Boy, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Iwasa, Bottas, Butler, Jackson, Teo Porcher, Liam Lawson and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me, as usual, for today's race.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
Abu Dhabi no longer the final Grand Prix. Instead, it sets the stage for the Brazilian Grand Prix finale. Mediums to hards, a pretty simple strategy. Let's get ready to roll.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres.
And you see the tire strategy there. Everybody except 2 drivers on mediums. Bottas on softs. Hamilton is going to try and get away from the field as quickly as he can on the softs, trying to keep his championship hopes alive.
So as all the cars reform the grids, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
All right, mate, 2 races left with the team. Let's make them count. We will have great race pace tonight, but it will be all about DRS.
Yes, sir. Let's have fun, guys. I mean, thanks for all the fun we've had together so far. Let's end these 2 final races on a high note. We're ready to roll. From Abu Dhabi, the final car is there. Logan Sargent going to line up on the grid. It's a Mercedes front row. Hamilton on pole. Russell second. Hamilton, like we said, on softs. What can he do? Can he run away? It's going to be crucial for him to get through turn 1 first. As lights up, we're underway here from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's a terrible start for George Russell, and that's immediately going to put him on the back foot as we dive down into turn 1. That's Sergio Perez up into second over the 2 not Red Bulls, the Ferraris of Sainz, as well as Charles Leclerc. Russell just in front of his championship contender Verstappen. Now, Hamilton can keep his championship hopes alive tonight. Realistically, he has to win and hope that both Russell and Verstappen run into issues. And we have 29 laps tonight. Plenty of racing to sort things out here. Now, as you can see, Verstappen, of course, comes into this Grand Prix leading by 7 points over Russell. He's just trying to stay within touch of him now. As you can see myself settling in the background there. That's Lando Norris just in front of my teammate of Yuki Tsunoda. And then we got the other McLaren of Alex Albon just behind myself. Albon will be sticking with McLaren next season. Of course, there is going to be one more announced driver change, and then any other changes will be announced in the off-season video. Here we go. Russell on Verstappen again. Verstappen trying to go the long way around on that long sweeping left-hander. They go wheel to wheel here through this final sector now, and you're going to see that none of them really want to back out of this. Of course, they're both fighting for the world title right now, and Hamilton loves what he sees, but Verstappen is going to get the position there, so he gets now through past George Russell and continues to try and extend that championship gap here now as we come through these final few corners. As I was kind of settling in, really just getting used to my wheel, honestly, was kind of the goal of these first and opening laps. Now, I have an issue, and I'm hoping someone in the comments maybe can help. For some reason, I cannot get my Moza wheel to use the clutch in F123, so I had to use assisted starts since I've gotten this new wheel, and I'm not quite sure why it won't, like, use the clutch. Like, no matter what button I map to the clutch for this wheel, it will not work. It's kind of weird, and I haven't figured it out yet. So I've been trying to do some searching up on it, and nothing has helped me so far. But nonetheless, lap 5, actually, I'm going to get my first track limits there. I locked up into turn 1. I decided to just abuse it and take the warning there. But the battle is up front continuing. This is Perez now under attack from Charles Leclerc as they go down towards that chicane. Hamilton 2.8 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz. Ferrari has shown up with some pace. We know they've made upgrades and gotten quicker late in the season. It's been a while since we've seen Ferrari go to the top step of the podium, but the battles continue. Perez is dropping. Lap 7. Russell now going around the outside. Maybe some contact with Perez right there. And of course, Perez and Hamilton both sharing their final few Grand Prix together now. Hamilton retiring at the end of the season, and so is Perez. Here comes Verstappen with a huge run now. Of course, he passed Russell a few laps ago, but now you can see they're going to go side by side into the chicane. Verstappen, who got passed back by Russell, will pass him back now. And there he goes. Hold on a second. He actually left the racing passing room for Russell, but no, it's going to be enough. Verstappen back ahead, but Russell now with the slipstream is going to pull back to the right side of the track. DRS assistance as well for the British driver. They're wheel to wheel, 2 rows deep, as you can see as well. Norris goes around the outside of Perez. Sergio Perez clearly got something going on there as Russell takes the position. As that was happening, I was actually able to make a pass on my teammate of Yuki Tsunoda right here. You're going to see I was able to follow both of those rows of side-by-side action and go side-by-side with Yuki myself. However, our battle would continue all the way down into the heavy braking zone, but we were able to take the position. So up into P8, we know the race pace is there compared to quality pace. That's why I wasn't concerned when we were P11 in qualifying. But you can see right here, Perez in front of myself. I have DRS on him. I'm able to pass him as well. I'm bringing Tsunoda with me as we head down towards the chicane, but clearly the Red Bull that we're going to be driving next season having an issue here tonight under the lights in Abu Dhabi, and he goes wide on the apex, and that holds up my teammate of Tsunoda and puts him under attack now from Alex Albon. This car in Sector 3 really makes up a lot of time, and the tail end of Sector 2 as well. Sector 1 we lose time every lap because this setup is focused on the slower speed corner sections of the track, not the high speed straightaways, so we lose time quite a bit on the straightaway strategy. Verstappen is in for a 1 of 2 pit stop strategy here. Interesting decision, as he's going to come in for a second set of mediums, so let's see how that works itself out. But this could be a strategy that really hurts Verstappen in this championship battle over George Russell. And now Lewis Hamilton, lap 13, he's going to come into the pits from the lead of this Grand Prix. A great first stint, did exactly what he needed to do, which was driving away from the field on those soft tires, and now really has put himself in control of this Grand Prix. We are about a lap away from our pit window. At this point, Yuki Tsunoda had gotten past Perez, so did Albon, and Tsunoda was within half a second of myself, but now we have run down Norris and Charles Leclerc here, so we're gonna have some opportunities now. Look at this, we're just starting to outgrip these guys. Everything's starting to flow here. All of a sudden I'm realizing we got a really good chance for a really good finish here today. Now putting Norris under pressure down into the braking zone. The future Mercedes driver, of course, Lando Norris, still seeking his first win with this season's team. Of course, he's won races in this career mode. Last season he was able to pick up some victories, but obviously this season hasn't been able to, while his teammate of Alex Albon has, who's still ahead of him in this standings. Next up, Charles Leclerc. Can we go past the Ferrari? The Monaco-based driver now comes under attack. Lap 14. This was our pit window lap, so we are going to be pitting here on this 14th lap now. As you can see up ahead, it's Carlos Sainz, quite a ways ahead of George Russell, but Russell is going to come into the pits here, and he's going to bring everybody in. Leclerc, myself, Lando Norris as well. Our teammate of Tsunoda stays out on track. I actually got into the back of Leclerc, but fortunately it ghosted me because we just got to the pit lane, so I kind of got saved by that one. Nonetheless, Hamilton comes through, sets the quickest lap of the Grand Prix. He's going to the end on a one-stop, so I think it's going to be very difficult today to beat Lewis Hamilton if you're really anybody. A safety car, of course, could change some things around. Will we see a safety car? I don't think we've seen one yet in Abu Dhabi in this F1 game for this career mode, but we come out just basically where we came in, right behind Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris not far behind, and fortunately not too much traffic that we're coming out into. As you can see, right ahead of Charles Leclerc though was Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. Leclerc makes a mistake, leaves the door wide open. Thank you very much, I'll take that, and he's going to even lose a spot to Lando Norris. So we go through into the 8th position. Our teammate of Tsunoda now dives into the pit lane, but we were going to get stuck behind Gasly until he pits at the end of the lap. So hard to pass in Sector 3, of course, in Abu Dhabi, but nonetheless, we would cycle through to 5th place once everything was sorted. I was very ecstatic with that. It's our best running position in the last little while, but now unfortunately we are ahead of 2 cars with DRS at Abu Dhabi with this long straightaway. Impossible to hold them back, and you can see Leclerc even sends one up the inside. I'm going to do a little bit of a switchback on him. Maybe I shouldn't have done this because that allows Lando Norris to run away from both of us now, as I use that DRS to try and stick with him, but it wouldn't happen, and I would lose DRS and then come under attack from Leclerc the next lap later. Look at the speed difference. It's absolutely insane. So Leclerc takes P6. I decided, approaching 10 laps to go, we're just going to chill behind Leclerc and see if we can both run down Lando Norris and see what we can make happen here, as we're going to go through the grid with 10 laps to go in the penultimate race of the season.
We've seen Lewis Hamilton have clutch wins before Martin, but if he can pull this off tonight, it might be the biggest one yet.
Oh, it would be high up on the list for sure. He is looking strong to keep his title hopes alive. Of course, it will come down to where Max and George finish here.
Verstappen runs second, but we know
he has another pit stop to go. Russell will then move into third. Unless something crazy happens, we are set to have the title fight go down to the final race next week in Brazil.
And the constructors' fight could see the same fate. Perez right now down in 10th place, trying to find more points. It hasn't been a great day for him.
Just want to chime in on Perez, guys. He's been having some kind of mechanical issue tonight. It has gotten better as the race has gone on, but it's not yet back to a normal car.
And of course, we got the news that Owen will be piloting that machine next year. We knew the Red Bull ride had to come eventually.
Absolutely. It is going to be exciting to watch him alongside Max next year. He's had 3 years to develop into this chance. I think he is more ready than some of the previous drivers who went up against Max.
The laps are coming down in Abu Dhabi. Will Hamilton hang on? We'll have to wait and see as that wraps up through the grid.
It has been an interesting race so far here in Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen runs second place right now with 7.9 seconds behind Hamilton. He, however, has to pit again. He would do exactly that with 10 laps remaining, or 9 laps remaining. He puts on a fresh set of hard tires. So now, what can Verstappen do? That moves us back to P6 here. Our teammate of Tsunoda 2 seconds behind in P7. Really a solid run for both of us. Now is Leclerc, a little bit of contact with the back of him, but he was really struggling here. So I decide, okay, instead of doing the strat of riding behind him and seeing if we can both, run down Norris by not fighting, I'm going to try and run away from him instead, but it really wouldn't quite work because the DRS again, I just couldn't get away from him. And in Sector 3, I could drive away, but then Sector 1, he would close back up, and then Sector 2 dominate me. Sector 3 is where I'd, of course, come back to bring the fight to Leclerc, but it just certainly proved to be pointless to fight him at this point, so I decide, okay, let's just chill till late in the race. Yellow flags! It's Lewis Hamilton! Hamilton dominating this Grand Prix in his final Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, his final season of Formula 1. His engine has failed, and that will take him out of the lead and out officially of the championship battle. Heartbreak similar to Fernando Alonso last season in the championship battle in the penultimate race when he was going up against Hamilton. Very unfortunate there, and Lewis Hamilton still is going to walk out an 8-time champ. What a career, of course, for Lewis Hamilton. 100 plus wins, 8 championships with that last season title. Max Verstappen, however, the focus on him, he's moving forward, and as well, Carlos Sainz takes the lead of the Grand Prix, by the way, over 3 seconds ahead of George Russell in second place here. Now, as I'm going to go back around the outside of Leclerc, this moves us up into P4. He tries to fight back on the inside, not quite able to make it happen as we make that overtake with just a few laps to go. Verstappen continuing on a charge, though. He's going around now the outside of our teammate of Yuki Tsunoda. If he can complete this pass, he's got over 2 laps to run down Leclerc and myself. Leclerc has a DRS on me. You already know what's coming. Here he goes. He's going to sweep past on the left side again. Still 2 seconds to Norris. The gap really hasn't changed like this whole final run. It's been about 2 seconds to the McLaren, who's really for the first time in a while just kind of stomped Alex Albon's pace. Now coming to 2 laps to go, Verstappen only 1.5 seconds back. He is absolutely flying on those significantly fresher hard tires. Now less than 2 to go, 0.7 of a second between myself and Verstappen. You can see him already popping up on that proximity radar. So by the time this final lap got underway, Verstappen, as we came through to the DRS straight, is right here ready to pounce. My future teammate, of course. I'm not going to make life too difficult on Verstappen, who's fighting for this world title right now. But how about Carlos Sainz, of all people? I didn't really even pay much attention to this early in the race until the engine failure with Lewis Hamilton, but he took control of this Grand Prix here in Abu Dhabi, and Carlos Sainz is going to deliver Ferrari their first win of the season as he rounds the final turn. Sainz wins in Abu Dhabi, Ferrari back on top, setting themselves up well for Season 4, as Russell will end up second place, Norris in third on the podium. Verstappen rebounds to 5th. It's going to be 6th place for us here in Abu Dhabi. A solid night, but the championship picture, I believe, is going to be 1 single point separating the 2 title contenders going into the Brazil Sprint Grand Prix weekend. It's going to get interesting. Verstappen, driver of the day.
So another excellent win from Ferrari. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
What a race. You know, we didn't need accidents, didn't need anything crazy there to happen really for things to get interesting. That's for sure. Now, as you can see, Sainz walking out to the top step of the podium there. The Spaniard gets to celebrate now as Russell P2. I'm sure he'll take that. I'm going to assume, you know, he'd much rather have won that Grand Prix to really set him a little bit further ahead of Verstappen, because Russell should now be the championship leader over the Red Bull driver. And with Lewis Hamilton's mechanical failure, it's going to make this constructors battle really interesting. We're going to have 2 championship battles going into the final race for the first time in this career mode. It took us 3 seasons to do it, but we finally got it. So we will take a look at both standings here in just a moment. Now, as you can see, Sainz, Russell, Norris there, Leclerc, Verstappen, myself. Albon P7, Tsunoda dropped to P9, Perez managed P8 out of it, and you can see, how about Jackson there in P16, gets the best of his teammate now. But you can see 1 point the difference, Russell 1 point ahead. There is a sprint, of course, but no matter what, it's going to go down to the Grand Prix. No one can win it in this sprint. And the constructors standings, let's take a look at that as well. We can beat Leclerc on points, which is why I really wanted to beat him tonight. But Mercedes has a 7-point advantage over Red Bull going into the final race. We got 2 championships to watch. I'm excited. I'll see you guys next episode in Brazil for the season finale. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.